On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very exclusive treat. He is a multiple-time New York Times bestselling author, investor, speaker, educator, and devoted family man whose entrepreneurial spirit has started or been a part of a plethora of companies, collectively generating north of $1 billion in revenue. No big deal. His mission for over 25 years has been to deliver self-education to those seeking transformation, fulfillment, and success outside the traditional education path, which I deeply admire. In a groundbreaking collaboration with Tony Robbins, he has spearheaded and built some of the most monumental online events in history, and they're just getting warmed up. With their mastermind.com, they have sparked a global movement impacting millions. Big facts. For him, impact is more important than income, and he helps people realize that financial freedom is 100% attainable, and it all starts with your mindset. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific husband and father. Please welcome the pioneering, abundant, and trailblazing, the multifaceted, handsome, and charismatic Dean Graziosi. How you doing, Dean? Welcome back.
Good, man. That's an intro. Like, can we just leave it there? Because that all sounded really good. Hey, good to see you again.
Great to see you. We were just spent some time together in person for the big event coming up, and it's always great to get together with you. And super pumped about all the stuff you have going on, brother.
Yeah, you too. It was good to see you in person. I know we did a podcast a couple of years ago or last year, but meeting, there's nothing like being in person. So thanks for coming out.
Absolutely. You need no introduction for our audience and so forth. And we're going to dive into a lot about what you have going on right now, which is super exciting. But let's kick it off with a little icebreaker. You ready for me?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Dean, for you, what does it mean to live an authentic life?
Authentic life. Great question. I love when I get questions that aren't the typical, hey, could you just tell me about your life? And then what obstacles did you have? And if you could share, if you had a conversation with your 20-year-old self. Now, I'm not knocking anybody who's ever asked me those questions because I love answering those as well. But I love when I get something like that I haven't heard. And I think that's what makes things exciting. So ask me that question again.
What does it mean for you to live an authentic life?
Yeah, I want people to really hear that because authenticity in today's world is so rare. You know, please know I'm not sharing this like I have it all figured out and I'm perfect. And I'm saying, just watch how I do it. But I think more than ever, we're a version of ourselves on social media. We could be a version of ourselves at our work, our business, our career. We're a version of ourselves to our significant other. We're a version of ourselves if we go to church and I think authenticity is what I'm trying to be a better version of for my family, for my wife, for my kids, because we all know if you're a parent, kids don't do what you say, they become who you are. And I always taught my kids when it came to sports, for example, you don't win games on the field during the game. You win games by working in the invisible, doing the work when no one's watching, where you don't get credit, where it's 100 degrees in Phoenix and you're out back. My daughter's pitching, 5 days a week to try to be a good pitcher on her team. Nobody sees it. She's sweating on her own. She's compromising, hanging out with friends. It's in the invisible. But when she gets on the field and she wins a game, it's like, oh, she's so good, but they don't see the work. Just like entrepreneurs, right? We're doing the work in the invisible. We miss more dance recitals than most. We miss more dates with our wives than most. We say yes to things that no one would ever consider saying yes to because we want the byproduct of those outcomes. And most of that, Craig, we do in the invisible. We come home and our spouses say, hey, how you doing? You're like, good day. When you really want to go, God, today was tough. I doubted myself 5 times. I'm not sure I can pull this off. But you just go, good, right? So the reason I pre-frame that so much is because authenticity to me at this phase of my life, and please know, I wasn't always here. So I'm 55, so I got a little time on most of you listening. And I just want to tell you, it took me time to get here. But when I got here, I can't tell you how liberating and free it is. So I'm just going to talk real. I went through a divorce, not proud of it, not something I expected. And I'm sure I was at least 50% part of that. I made some decisions on the man I wanted to become and the kind of woman I wanted to attract. And I already had 2 children and all those things. And I realized if I wanted to attract the kind of badass woman I wanted in my life, I needed to be that badass man at every level, not just financially successful. I try to work out and stay in good shape, but it takes way more than that, right? And I didn't want to bring the old version of me into a new relationship. I was lucky enough, you got to meet my wife, Lisa. She's the love of my life. We have 2 new kids. But I had to step up to be a different man. So why am I telling you? You're like, you're asking me about, we're on an entrepreneur podcast. You know, most entrepreneurs are striving entrepreneurs. Why are you talking about that? Because here's why. And I think it applies to business. And I think this is why I've been blessed to create such great relationships with my partner and brother, Tony Robbins, that we do. So we own multiple companies together. We do get to do these great events together. And I get to do, we did the biggest event, I think, in the world with Matthew McConaughey and Ed Mylett and all these great people, my dear friends, is because I carried this over into my business in the last 5 years. And it's as simple as this. I made a choice when I started dating with my wife. And I said, dating, engaged, married. If my wife had the ability to have a hidden camera on me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and she watched it with all 4 of my children, when they were done, would they be shocked or would they love me more? That is brutal because people say, I'm all in, I love my wife, but they're DMing crap on the side. Or like, oh, this girl's kind of cute. Or this guy, like, right? They say I'm ethical in business, but they do a handshake and they're like, I wonder if I can get 3 extra points on the side. I'm not knocking you. I've made horrible mistakes in my life. But when I made that decision, Craig, to be that man, that if my wife had a hidden camera on me, I'd come home and she'd run across the room and jump in my arms and say, wow, I'm a lucky woman. My life changed like that, like literally like that, because I get to be one human. I'm the same man. If I go to church with my wife, I'm the same man in front of my children. I'm the same man in front of my team. I get to be the same man when you and a bunch of great people came into town. This is just me. I can leave my phone on the kitchen table without a lock, and my wife could look at it for 5 days straight. And when she was done, she's like, that's my freaking man. I could leave my phone on the table and Tony Robbins read it about our partnership and go, that dude's got my back. It took me to my 50s almost to figure that out. But you asked me the definition of authenticity. That was a long answer to a short question, but no one's asked me that. I've never been able to explain that. I don't think I've ever shared that before. And it's one of the deepest values of my life, because we aren't who we project to be. We are the person we are when no one's watching. If you don't think you'll get caught or nobody will know, that's really who you are. And for some of you listening, that's a little hard.
First of all, thank you, Dean, for your beautiful vulnerability. I've known you for a couple of years now and been a fan of your work for quite some time. It's the most beautiful, raw answer I've ever heard from you, straight up. And I was off the cuff the question, but thank you for that. And it's interesting because it does take later in life, depending upon who you are, I guess, but to really understand the word authenticity and to really do the right thing. It's always a good idea to do the right thing. It's always a good thing to do the right thing. And look, none of us are perfect. We're all on the path. It's a lifelong transformation.
Absolutely.
Some of the analogies you just gave, right? If there was a camera on at all times, would they be in shock or would they be proud and triple down on you? Just beautiful. Love that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and as I say it, it still warms my heart, and it makes me want to fight to keep being a better man. And I got to tell you, last thing I'll say on it, and it's the same in business. I had the greatest compliment in the world from my partner, Tony Robbins. We were at a live event. We're sitting next to each other. We're both presenting. And in the middle of the event, he looks over and says to me, I got a lot of great friends, but that's my best friend in the world. He said, you know what the definition of a best friend is? He goes, if I was in a bar fight, he goes, we'd never be in a bar fight. But if I was in a bar fight and that guy was at my back, I know I'd never have to turn around because he's got me unconditionally. And I was like, wow. Like, I don't know if I would have got that if I was partners or friends in Tony in my 30s. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I would have been a friend, right? But I understand the depth. And the last thing I'll say about my wife, Lisa, if this is important to you, because I became that man for her, we're 7.5, almost 8 years in. I still walk in the door after work, or if I meet her on date night, she still lights up like the first week I met her. Like, and here's the thing, just being honest, if I'm being vulnerable, I never want to lose that. to me, she's the most beautiful woman on the planet. And she looks at me like she just met me and I got a halo around my head. I ain't screwing that up, man. I am not screwing that up with Tony, my other partners, or my wife. And that's where authenticity, I think, is just so powerful. And I think it was a beautiful question. And what I want to share with everyone, please, your past does not dictate your future. You want me to be vulnerable? I was not that type of man in my last relationship. I wasn't. And it's probably why it fell apart. Maybe I wasn't that type of man with previous partnerships. I was a good, honest, do my thing, but was I completely looking out for the other person in every decision I made? I don't remember. All I'm saying is none of us are perfect, but we can change in a moment. We could just decide, hey, I'm going to pretend there's a video on me right now. And you'll catch yourself going, ooh, that would cause, right? So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. We'll go on to the next question, but it was a beautiful question. And I'm glad you asked it.
Yeah, and it's a lot deeper than I think people might realize, like spiritually speaking. A lot of people are searching for the next thing. I have to do all these things to achieve more success, when in reality, we have to expand our vessel on what we can receive, which is already there. It's all
true story.
The money, the stuff. And one of the things that you said there that I think is worth reiterating is that you decided to really work on yourself to be the type of cat that attracts that badass girl that you're looking for. And it starts with you. And once you worked on that, there she was.
Yep. True story.
Yeah. So good. So many places we can take this conversation. I definitely want to kick it off with some of the really cool stuff you're up to now. I've never seen you so jazzed up about a specific project. I flew out to see you in Arizona. You had a bunch of people fly out in regards to this particular project. The game has changed. What does that mean, and why are you so pumped about it?
There's a lot of ways to go. So please reel me in if I get too excited or I go down, I squirrel out with a little ADD.
Let's do it.
Here's the thing. If I just start at a high level, is I've been in the self-education industry. You're in it right now. You're providing information to others to lift their life. You could call it the knowledge industry, the self-education industry, call it anything you want. Really is, in today's world, we have the opportunity to unlock the greatest asset we own, our experience, a business skill, a career skill, a life experience that you went through, a passion that you have. It is a valuable asset when it's packaged, right? So I don't think anyone would disagree that it's a $1 billion a day industry of people a day. Yeah, $1 billion a day, heading towards $1 trillion a year of people packaging their information, because people are realizing they don't want to go back to school because it's not getting the results they want. It's general knowledge. They need more specific knowledge. They don't want to learn on their own, right? They want to find somebody who's already achieved what they want and is hoping that they'll share the blueprint and the path. That it closes the gap quicker. It gets people from where they are to where they want to be in a faster light. So I think we can all agree that it's a thriving industry. It's an industry where your asset lives between your ears. You don't have to house it, right? You don't have to store it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to air condition it. You don't have to ship it in a truck, right? It is knowledge. So knowledge is the new, the new dollar. Knowledge is, we are in a knowledge economy. So if we say, okay, it's definitely an industry. So why are we doing something called the game has changed? Because I've been in this industry every day of my life for 27 years, Greg, and I love it. And I learned on my own. I had to figure things out, and I got in it because I bought Tony Robbins' course, and it shifted my life. And I'm like, hey, and I mean, now he's my best friend, a dear friend, and all that. But I got in it because I bought his course, and I was like, wow, it changed my life, and pretty cool. I could sell information, impact others, do it, make a living out of it, right? When I started, and I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I had to do an infomercial. People are like, why'd you do infomercials? Because when I started, Craig, there was no internet. There wasn't even AOL dial-up when I started, right? 1997, none of this existed. There was no social media. There was no Facebook, not even MySpace, no Twitter. None of those things existed. So I had to do an infomercial, right? So when I started, think of the barrier to entry. I had to come up with a concept. I had to write every manual on a lame computer. Then I had to get them printed and create booklets and then film DVDs, right? Package it all together, put it in a warehouse, put it in a box, film an infomercial that cost me $100,000, book 50,000 in media. I was about $200,000 in, didn't even have the money back then. I had to use credit cards to get there. to play it on air to hope to get $139 sale. So I'm like, talk about looking like a terrible investment. I'm 200 grand in and I'm waiting for like this little link to show me if I got one sale and then two sales, right? So how has the game changed? The barrier to entry has been getting easier every year. But the last 6 to 8 months, everything has changed, Craig. Everything has changed because we now have the opportunity to use technology. I like to call it one step ahead innovation, to use AI, not AI to do it for us, but the AI to get us off the blank page, to help us create the product, to help us create the pages, the headlines, the emails. And Tony and I have just literally spent the last year obsessing on how to create an AI that thinks like him and I. How does it take 70 plus years of our experiences? The last 11 launches we did are the 11 biggest launches the internet's ever seen. They averaged about 1 million people each. I mean, right? With some of them going as big as 2.5 million people registering and coming in one day, right? So we've been in it for a long time. We're still doing some crazy ass things, but we know how to get the new person who's just starting off the ground. And we've been teaching that for years. But now with AI, what used to take 6 months or 4 months can now take 4 weeks, 4 days, 4 minutes. So the reason we're doing a 3-day event calling it The Game Has Changed, because if somebody's a struggling entrepreneur, they're dabbling a little, they have a current business, they're dying to do something faster and quicker. I'm not talking about a magical money machine. I'm talking about a real process from two guys who have been doing it for a really long time and now using smart technology to condense decades into days, to condense months into minutes. And I know that's a lot to explain. You asked me one short question, and I know I think about this every day, and you're just on here today as an entrepreneur or starting entrepreneur. You're like, what does that mean? High level, everybody has an asset that's valuable that lives in your head. What Tony and I have done is found an easier and quicker way to extract it, teach you how to package it, and teach you how to get people to say yes and turn it into a real business with no glass ceiling. Rich overnight? Hell no, there's no such thing. The opportunity to be a part of an industry at $1 billion a day and do it from two guys, use the path and the plan of two guys who've been doing it every day for 70 plus years between us. That's what we're doing. So that's what the 3-day event is about. That was a long answer. So please ask any questions if I was confusing in any way.
Dean, this is amazing, brother. And if I'm being honest, not being like biased because you're my friend and you're here right now, there's no two people more credible in the world when it comes to personal development, entrepreneurship than you, Tony. And you guys are never complacent. Like you just said, the last 11 launches are the biggest ever, but you're not going to continue doing what you're doing. You're always innovating. You're always skating to where the puck's going to be, like Wayne Gretzky said. And with where AI is right now, which is, people saw AI coming. I'm not sure everyone thought it would be here where it is just yet. And now to be able to combine some of that stuff with the personal development and collapse time. I mean, you also said when I was there in Arizona, everybody has a course in them, right?
Everybody.
Take everyday people and monetize their experiences and so forth. And this event, this tool that you've created can help people do that and take some of the thinking out of it, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. I was at dinner with a couple that my wife and I go to dinner with, and he was asking me, he's in a completely different business. And he's like, these events are amazing. I watch you and Tony and hundreds of thousands of people live from all over the world. He goes, why is this one called The Game Has Changed? I told him a little, he goes, well, business, if I already own a business, how would this help me? I said, okay, I was sitting with my wife, and my wife, when you were here, the salon next door, my wife owns salons. Now she's mostly a full-time mom, but when I met her, she was voted the top 10 top hairstylist in Arizona 10 years in a row. And she was crushing it doing hair extensions. For us guys, I didn't even know what that was, but she does hair extensions. They're like $2,000 a pop, right? And she has all these amazing friends. Long story short, she still has these salons, right? And so we're sitting with this couple. I said, let me explain. Let me take my wife, for example. I said, babe, when one of your stylists is done with a woman's hair, do they try to sell them something at the end? She goes, not really sell. They'll offer them, would you like the shampoo? Would you like the conditioner? I said, great. How much do you make on those? She goes, a couple bucks. How about the girls? A couple bucks. Like, great. Okay. I said, what if my wife owns a business now? You come and join Tony and I. Shall we show you how to do this? What if my wife created a home study course? My wife had alopecia at one time and found through nutrients how to grow her hair back younger, thicker, and more beautiful than ever. I said, you've been doing hair for, I don't know, 18 years. I said, if you created a course that helped women grow back hair, get the best hair possible, how to treat their extensions, how to make them look long, how to be beautiful, how to eat, how to look, how to take care of your hair. If you created that course from the woman that was a top hairstylist. I said, and at the end of every session, instead of selling a $10 bottle of shampoo, imagine if they said, hey, now when you're checking out right now, Lisa, our founder, here's her beautiful picture. You see her on the wall. She created a course over 18 years of figuring out how to eat, how to do this, how to take care of extension, how to extend it. Would you like me to add that course to your ticket today for $35? She was like, babe, why didn't you tell me that sooner? I said, would more people take that than the shampoo? She goes, absolutely. I said, and how much would that cost you? Nothing. It's your experience that's the value. You could add that to every ticket you have. You could pay the girls a higher commission on it. And now my wife is laying out this course. She's like, I'm actually doing this for the girls, right? What I'm saying is, if you're in business, this is the time you need to add an information product to your company. I don't care if you're in real estate, if you're an agency, you're a hairstylist, you are in mortgage banking, you are in financial investment. You need a course that either endorses who you are by training them. They go, God, Craig is the best in the world at, I went through his quick course, or a product that can be an add-on like my wife. And if you're not in business, why wouldn't if my wife wasn't in business, she should just create that course and find hairstylists online, because we can find them all with the flick of a few buttons on our phone. And we know that it's a monster industry. We know there's no inventory. The net is high, but I believe up until now, entry wasn't easy enough for people to get in. What am I going to create? How am I going to lay out this course? What's the product going to be? How much do I charge? Even though we used to teach that, and Tony and I teach it better than anyone, we've collapsed all that by pre-programming how we think, what we do, and using AI. It's like having Tony Dean in your pocket. And that's what we're going to do over this 3-day event. We're going to freaking pull back the curtain and have people go, holy crap, the game has changed. And I believe if you come as an investigator. Like, it's free. It's 3 days. It's Tony and Dean. You can pretend you're going to pay $1,000, but you can come for free and just come and explore. Just come and explore. You're going to get value. Tony goes about an hour and 20 minutes day one, and it's one of the best trainings he does, and kills it on day 3. But I would just come and explore and see what's possible. Should you be adding an information knowledge product to your current company? Should this be the company you start? Do you want to be a coach? Do you want to speak on stage? Do you want to create a course, a workshop? Do you want an in-person mastermind where you meet 3 times a year at different hotels around it is cool. And the last thing I'll say, and then I shut up, is when I started 28 years ago, man, this was not a cool industry. You didn't tell anybody you had a coach. You would never tell anybody you bought a course. You wouldn't tell anybody you went to a Tony Robbins event. It was like, I'm doing this in the silent. Now you go to dinner, somebody's like, oh, I got a coach on XYZ. Oh yeah, I bought the course on that. Somebody's like, oh, I joined a mastermind last week. I sit at dinner, I'm like, oh my God, it's here. Like, it's here. And I believe this is the time to get in and get in front of the wave. I believe you try to get in here in 10 years from now, you're like, damn it, I missed one of the greatest opportunities ever.
It's so well said. Personal development years ago, maybe almost frowned upon. They go, what do you need help with that for?
And what do you got a coach for? Are you an athlete? It's like, right. No.
And now it's the opposite. It's like, for me personally, and to be honest with you, I used to more of an ego, and I thought like I could figure things out by myself. And because we don't have the time, I actually take pride in having a coach or a mentor in some capacity with anything that I want to improve, running, anything.
Yeah, awesome. It's a great time to consider this, and that's why we're super happy. We hope we make this the biggest event we've done, so we can really give people a tool at a time where they need it. I mean, let's face it, the craziness going on in our world right now, uncertainty is an all-time high. I mean, it is crazy out there. So how do you get certainty? By being a part of something that you are in control of. You make the decision. You don't have a supply chain. You don't have to worry if prices go up. Your knowledge is always the same cost, 0. You just got to figure out how to monetize it.
And what you guys created, I know you love to smash people's limiting beliefs before you even begin to talk or something like that. But this tool kind of crushes most people's limiting beliefs going into this industry.
Oh my God, Craig, I just want to tell you what you just said is beyond insightful. Like, honestly, I have another level of respect for you, because you understand a lot of times Tony and I will get on and we got to be on a half hour and go, you're meant for more. You can do this. Stop looking at your limiting beliefs. Don't let imposter syndrome. Like we got to go through that because people are always, how many of you listening right now have been on the edge of doing your next best thing and you get nervous the last minute and you put it off or you hesitate. So Tony and I think Tony is the best in the world at it. There's nobody even in close second, knows you how to get out of your head into your heart and go, all right, let's go. I'll make a decision. And then we teach. Tony and I were together 3 weeks ago. It's like, I don't think we got to do any of that. Let's just show them how this solves the problem, because you're in your head thinking about it where you could just hit a few buttons and go, oh, wait, I'm on third base. I could go from third base to home. Some people can't go all the way around the bases, but if we can get you to third base, then you got a good chance.
Yeah. This industry is on fire. It's awesome. I feel like it's recession proof with your knowledge and so forth. Nobody can take that away from you. It's yours. It's interesting because most of the people that we cater to are people that are very unfulfilled. And it just so happens that the majority of the world right now is unfulfilled. Even if you just look at stats, I think only 20% of the people actually find purpose in the work that they do. It's alarming how many people are unfulfilled. Why do you think that is?
You know, man, I hope you don't mind if I get deep again. I'm really enjoying this conversation, by the way.
Likewise, Dean.
So I have 4 children, 17, 15, 4, and 18 months. And my 17-year-old, I love all my kids equally. They're all amazing. My 17-year-old is my firstborn daughter, born on my birthday, naturally. Like, what a gift, right? And I see this woman who I'm her dad. I've been speaking into her ears since she could listen, right? She is emotionally intelligent. I mean, let me just start with, she still doesn't clean her room a lot of days and she still doesn't get her homework done on time. So I'm not saying I have the perfect child. What I'm saying is she is emotionally intelligent. She makes smart decisions. She has managed through high school in such a great way. I'm so proud of this kid. But I watched my daughter get anxiety over things and she works really hard. She'll come to me and go, Dad, why is this bugging me so much? And last night, I'm sharing this because she called me this morning and said, Dad, I was up for like 5 hours in the middle of the night. Darn, I need to talk to you today. I don't know why my brain was looping. I was worrying about things I shouldn't be worrying about. I didn't sleep. Can I go to school 2 hours late? I'm like, sure, no problem. Why am I sharing that? When I really think about it, because we all have our past. So I'm going to take my personal life and then I'm going to apply it to the whole country. And this is like the 4th turning Tony always talks about. Great times, right? Bad times make great men. Could be men or women, right? Great men make good times. Good times make soft people, soft men. Soft men make hard times, right? That's the book. That's not my words. That's the book of the 4th turning. Tony got introduced to that book by Bill Clinton when he was consulting him. That's how long ago, right? It just talks about this. And if I look at growing up, my parents were married 9 times. I lived in a trailer park as a kid. We didn't have money. I go to school without lunch money some days. I'm not saying poor me. So that was my threshold. So my dad was very violent when I was young because he got beat by his dad and I learned how to deal with that. So you deal with that stuff. I go to school and a friend doesn't talk to me. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't, like, my threshold for what could go wrong was high. Like, I didn't care about peers. If there was a kid that was a bully, it's like, it's not worse than what I got to deal with at home. I'm using that as an example. I get to be a different dad. I changed that. My sister changed that. Like, our kids have never experienced that. They're fulfilled. They're empowered. They're loved. I go to games. I do all the things. But since I've kind of, I didn't give my daughter the ability to fail in a big way. I'm talking about me as a dad. Like, I didn't make things hard enough for her. And she's not spoiled. Her first car, we got a 3-year-old Hyundai and she paid half of the down payment. Believe me, I wanted to go buy her a brand new Range Rover. Like, I've been blessed to do so well. And I knew so I'm just saying, I'm not spoiling, but she hasn't experienced really tough times, Craig. And the best I could manufacture is that she pitches on softball and lost some games. So her threshold of where stress is really low. She was up all night, probably worrying about that a friend of hers didn't talk to her yesterday. Like, that's probably what it's going to be. If you fast forward 100 years ago, it was like, my kids didn't eat for the last 2 weeks. I don't know if they're going to make it. Like, there's different levels, right? And I think it's the same with fulfillment. We've had so many years of prosperity, so many years of not having war, not having famine, not having a recession. Like, I know And I think our brains have to find something that's wrong. So society's wrong, people's wrong. If you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, or I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican, we should hate each other. Like, there's so much craziness going on in the world, and I'm not blaming people, but I think we've gone so long with it so easy that the littlest things rob our fulfillment. The littlest things rob our joy. The littlest things create anxiety. I mean, you see in so many colleges, the anxiety levels through the roof. Anti-anxiety medicine is the highest it's ever been. Colleges are creating rooms for people to go in. And when you hear what they're stressed about, people go, oh, those kids, they should get over it. No, they truly feel it. I'm not knocking them, but I think this is this cumulative thing. And if you read this book, you know what it says it takes to cure this?
Right.
A war, a depression, like really hard times. Like they talk about, you remember the flappers? If you ever hear the story, Tony explains this. Did you ever hear the flappers of the 1920s?
Like,
Right?
I think Great Gatsby, maybe.
Yeah, the Great Gatsby. And what they said, the flappers were at that time, people go, they're young, they're just dancing and partying, and life was too easy. It was after World War I. America was celebrating, it was growing, and they partied and drank and danced, and everybody was critical of them. And they said they'll never amount to anything because they had good times before them. But things changed really quick for the flapper generation. 1930s, there was a depression. After the depression, what happened right after the 30s? Get out of the depression, World War II. Boom, they went off to war. I got goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah, same.
When they got back from war, what did they call that generation? They called them the Great Generation. They got through the recession or depression. They got through and won World War II. They came back and just shifted America. America exploded. That's when America was the world power. Nobody could even come close. We dominated with currency. We dominated with innovation. We were the country, right? And if you look at this book, it shows that. And since they went through all that good times, they didn't want their kids to struggle. And then baby boomers. And it shows this whole process about every 40 years is this turning. And that was a long answer to a short question, but I think it's not blaming everybody. I'm guilty of it. I'm a part of it, but I think it's because we just have the threshold for saying I'm happy or unhappy has just gotten so low, and we've forgotten to, I don't want to just say be grateful, but I have to tell you, when I live in gratitude, I bet you say the same thing, Craig. When I wake up and go, God damn it, I'm lucky. And I don't forget, and I pray or I talk or I just express gratitude. And we all can have a culture of comparison screw us up. Social media will kill you. We could have a culture of comparing ourselves against our perfect version of ourselves, kill us. But if we could wake up with a little gratitude and be happy with a culture of progress, not perfection or comparison, a culture of progress, just saying, am I a little better today than I was yesterday, last month, last year? I think that helps get people on the fulfillment train of realizing I don't have to wait to be fulfilled. I could be fulfilled today on my journey to get more. I might have been all over the place on that, but I really wanted to set a context. I don't think it's people's fault. Like, I don't want people to feel it blame, or like my daughter will say to me, Dad, I can't believe this little stuff bothers me. I'm sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. It really bothers you, but let's find a solution. Let's find gratitude. Let's get you focused on. And here's the other thing. Do you know what kills my depression? Because I've had bits of depression in my life, bits of sadness, bits of unfulfilled. You know what kills that for me? And I guarantee it's the same for you and somebody watching. When I have a big ass goal and I'm working my ass off to achieve it, I don't have time to be depressed. I don't have time to be unfulfilled. I don't have time to even practice gratitude. I am just killing shit. Like, I'm getting after it. I'm doing it. I wake up. I can't wait to get out of bed. My wife's like, how are you feel? I don't know. I don't even know if I slept last night. I don't care because I'm loving what I'm doing. So the final thing I'll say is what can cure all of it is, yes, you might therapy could, drugs. I'm not smart enough. I'm not qualified enough to give you a yay or nay on that. But dear friends I know that are having a good, I spent the day yesterday with Alex Hermosi. We spent 9 hours together. He's all over the place right now. And I consult with him. We consult with each other. We're dear friends and we get together a couple times a year. We did a great day yesterday. And he just said, people ask me all the time, am I really happy? I'm like, I never even think I'm happy. I'm loving my life. I'm loving what I'm doing. When I get up, I have a smile on my face. I work all day because I love it. I love spending time with my wife. I go to bed. I'm happy. I don't have time to look in the mirror and ask myself, am I happy or I'm not? Because there's no time. I'm after it. So maybe spend the next 30 days of really identifying a kick-ass goal. Show up to the event. See if that's it for you. If it's not that, find something else and just focus on that every day and get after it. And watch how all the other stuff starts fading away.
You nailed it, brother. I haven't seen you this jazzed up. This is great. Yeah, a big goal generates purpose, generates desire. Being out of alignment can create unfulfillment. And thank you for taking us deep with that stuff. I think if you want to go higher, you got to go deeper. This stuff is so true, just in perspective compared to years ago. Like years ago, people were worried about a tiger eating them, right? And now we're worried about a friend not calling us back last night.
No,
Like,
and your brain doesn't know the difference because it has nothing to compare it to,
right?
right? Like my dad was the youngest of 12.
Mhm.
They had oatmeal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner most of the weeks. And one night a week, they would slaughter chickens and they'd have meat one day a week, right? And they were in a 1-bathroom, 3-bedroom house with 12 kids and a mom and dad, right? My dad went through a lot of stuff, but that guy appreciated every little thing from where he came from. He couldn't help it, right? So you don't, but I think I'm not going to move into a small house and make my kids eat oatmeal 3 times a day, but I got to find a way. So my goal, the last thing I'll just say is my goal with my daughter, when I talked to her today, we're working on a big purpose for her to get done over the summer. She's out of school next week. I'm going to come up with a big goal that she loves this summer and get her fired up to work on it every day. I'll promise her something effing huge at the end of summer. If she nails her goal, and it's probably going to be this internship that I want her to take. If she nails it, I want her to wake up every day. She doesn't have time to think about it if a friend called her because she's going to be thinking, how do I nail this so I get this thing at the end of the summer? Anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
No, I love it. And I'm getting married in September.
Are
Uh,
you? Congratulations.
Thank you, brother. I'm so pumped, Dean. But you know what? I love kids. I don't have any yet. I'm willing after we get married, we'll look to that, start a family. One of the things I'm most excited about in life is being a dad. And it's stuff I think about. Like you want to create some sort of pressure for the kids, a healthy pressure, so they can
Yep,
expand, grow, and spread their wings. Because even like we recently got a puppy, not the same, but he's
of
so
course.
cute. You want to be so nice and do all these things, but you have to discipline them to the extent where they know right from wrong, they have perspective and so forth. So it's a beautiful perspective, something to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, it'll be your greatest accomplishment being a dad.
Yeah.
So I look forward to you having it. It'll
Thank
put a lot of things in perspective. The greatest teachers in the world are kids,
you.
because I said it earlier, but kids don't do what you say, they become who you are. And if you come home and their kids are trying to play with you and you're on your phone, eventually they just give up asking you and you wonder why you're not connected to your kids. They teach you. They teach you with their actions. Those type of things happen with me. Like my son, my older son, I remember I was so busy when he was about 6 years old. He wanted to just play nonstop. And some days I'm like, I know you don't understand, kid, but I'm in the middle of this, growing my company and I can't play right now. I can't play right now. And one day I'm like, hey, kid, you want to play? His name's Brody. I'm like, Brody, I call him kid. I'm like, kiddo, let's go play baseball. He's like, no, I'm good, dad. I'm like, what's wrong with you, man? I said, you want to play? He goes, no, I'm good. Nothing's wrong. I'm just going to do this. And I remember going in the other room and I was just like, what the hell? I'm like, oh, I did that. That was me.
That's the
I did that. I created that. And I
yeah.
had to work on changing that and tweaking it. Now I got a little boy who's 4, wants to play with me every day. That kid asks, I'd drop $1 billion deal to go outside and throw softballs to him. You know what I mean? Because I ain't
Yeah.
doing that again. So
Yeah.
I promise you'll love it, and they'll be your greatest teachers if you allow it.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And for anyone out there that's struggling to cultivate the courage or grit to go after their dreams or start their own thing, whatever the case may be, like Dean just said, kids won't necessarily listen to what you say, but they might become who you are. And so if you're telling your kids, I imagine you could be anything you want, think big, chase your dreams, and they look at you and you're not, that's an issue. So that's just a little bit of inspiration for everybody to go out and achieve whatever it is that they feel called to do.
Absolutely. Hey, one thing, Craig, my team just put this in front of me. For those of you who want to attend the event, I'm sure you'll put it in the notes, but
Yes.
it's tonyanddeanlive.com/Craig. tonyanddeanlive.com/Craig. I'd say come and investigate. We only do it once a year. This one's going to be off the charts. We've never revealed what we're going to reveal. It's going to blow your mind. Either add this to your current business, make this your business, or just come be inspired by Tony and Dean and some killer guests. But don't
Yeah.
miss it. Dean and TonyLive.com/Craig. And I'd say if you type that up, start a text string with some friends and send them that same link. Say, let's watch it together. Like what I really love, I love when Tony or I are on and I can see watch parties. Sometimes there'll be a watch party at someone's house. They get 10 friends over, or they get a group of people that are watching on different Zooms. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, man.
Yeah. And I do not use this word lightly, but I guarantee if anyone just goes there with an open mind, they will they will receive value from it.
For
100%.
sure. That's why we do 3 days. We could do something for 2 hours. We do 3 days, about 3 hours a day.
Yeah. So good. We'll put all that stuff in the show notes. Hey, Dean, we'll end up playing with this. You said something that stopped me in my tracks when I saw you in Arizona. You know, people always ask me about work-life balance, and it's been a tough question because I don't really know what that is. And then you said it so beautifully articulated. The greatest gift that we can give to ourselves is to achieve work-life integration.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. What do you mean by that? Let's unpack that.
I think, and I heard that from Tony Robbins ages ago. And when I heard it, it hit me just like it must have hit you. I was like, "Ooh, everybody's fighting for work-life balance. It doesn't exist." How many people are saying, "Oh, I got to try to find a way to balance." And I feel like when you have trying to do work-life balance, then you're like, "Oh, I can't wait for Sunday for the football game, or I can't wait for the golf on Saturday." It's like we're trying to find something to balance out this thing that we don't like called work. And I think that term comes from people who aren't entrepreneurs. I honestly think it comes from people who hate the job they're in. They're completely unfulfilled, and they just got to find a way to drown it, whether that's a scotch or a football game or a golf game or whatever it is, to just
Vacation.
try to vacation, just try to find a balance. And I said, why I also think the game has changed is we have so much opportunity to find something that aligns with our soul, gives us purpose, if we want to impact others, and gives us the opportunity for unlimited, wealth, money, abundance. That I think when you find that thing, even though being an entrepreneur, the guardrails are off, there's no guarantees. You got to put in the work. You got sleepless nights, the stuff you do in the invisible, but you're in control. Like you get to decide how much you want to work. You get to get an ROI, return on time, a return on investment. And I think when entrepreneurship truly settles in, not when you're pretending to be half a career person and half an entrepreneur, but when you decide I'm an entrepreneur, I'm doing my own thing, then there's no limits to where you can go. And then once that happens, I think the greatest gift any of us could give ourselves is imagine when you don't know where work ends and life begins. It's just blended together and you freaking love both. Like that is the gift. I wish I could wave a magic wand. It's what drives me every day to push. It's what drives Tony and I. And I know you know this, but Tony and I are at a place right now. We've been doing this a long time. I'm really great with my money. I got the life I want. I have the plane I want. I have the houses I want. I have money away from my kids forever. And this, please know, from where I came from humble beginnings, I'm blessed to say if I didn't want to work another day in my life, I don't need to. I'm working harder than I've ever have, Craig, because I want people to feel work-life integration. Like I know I still work too much. Honestly, that's a fact. I spend time with my kids, my wife, and work. I do nothing else, but I'm happy. That's what Alex and I were talking about yesterday. It's like people say you should golf, you should hunt, you should fish, you should take up a hobby. It's like, I like working more than any other possible hobby. Like I've done other things. I'm on the golf course for 2 hours. I'm like, I want to get back to work. I freaking love it. Because we get to help shift people's lives for a living. And that's the gift we want to give more people. You can have work-life integration where you don't know where one ends and one starts and you don't care.
Yeah. You know what the perfect real-time example is? This podcast episode. Is this work? Is this considered work? Technically it is.
Yeah, we're working right now.
But this is the greatest, and I speak from contrast because I spent 13 years on Wall Street, which I was a gladiator in the wrong arena. Wouldn't have changed a thing, but my soul was contracting. I didn't consider that there was a different narrative until I finally, tapped into something bigger and so forth. It's the greatest thing that one can achieve is to absolutely wake up on fire for life and love what you do. And like Dean said, no limits, no ceilings, abundance, impact, contribution, fun, relationships, unapologetically create a lot of wealth and all that stuff. And I just think everybody should go for that in their own lane, whatever it looks like for them.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is fun, Craig. Yeah, you're right. We're doing work. This is work today. So
yeah. This is special, Dean. Always good to get together with you. We'll land the plane with a little rapid fire, maybe 1 or 2 word answers. We'll have a little fun. You ready to get nuts?
Let's do it.
Favorite movie?
Seabiscuit. As a bunch. I like a lot of them. I couldn't named about 5, but that one sticks with me. I like the underdog story.
Same. Your last meal on earth would be?
Oh, probably pasta and chicken parm.
Ooh, delicious. Okay. Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh, favorite guilty pleasure. Um, I would say I didn't drink coffee for the first 52 years of my life. And my wife drinks a cup a day. And I just swore I'd never drink coffee. And now I have an espresso a day and I can't wait to have
Oh man, good,
it.
right?
I went
Yeah,
all those years without coffee. Now I'm hooked.
that's crazy. I imagine it's not even so much the caffeine, but just there's something spiritual, but like a nice morning cup of coffee.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
I tell my wife she's a coffee pusher. She'd make it and she'd smell it and she's like, "You're missing out." And she
yeah,
finally got me. She wore me down.
nice. Persistence. Couple more. Favorite workout?
um, I'd say consistent workout,
Mm,
7 days a week. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but consistency. If I stay consistent, every other day is cardio. If I do that, I feel amazing.
okay. Favorite book, not including one of yours.
Favorite book? I got a lot of them. I would say Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worry and Start Living.
That's it. Okay. And the last one, very, very deep stuff. Your favorite musician?
It's going to sound cheesy. Frank Sinatra.
It's not cheesy at all.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah, my go-to. I grew up, I'm Italian. I grew up, my grandmother played Frank all the time and Dean Martin. I'm named after Dean Martin. So there was
Wow.
Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and a couple others playing in my grandmother's house all the time. So
Yeah. Fun
brings
fact,
me back to that.
they just signed finally to make a movie about Frank, and Leonardo DiCaprio will be playing him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I'll be there the day it opens. I know every Frank song from start to finish. It's kind of embarrassing.
No, it's awesome. We'll put all the stuff in regards to the show, the event and so forth in the show notes. Anything else that you're most pumped about and everyone could support or get involved?
Yeah, I only because it's right in front of me. This event, it's when you work so hard on something, you can't wait to share it. And there's a lot of times when hype is built up, and then you watch something, you go, that was okay. No matter how much we hype this event, when you're there, you're going to be an hour in and go, oh my God, the world has changed. Like the game has changed. To me, this is a once in a generation shift. It's like the printing press, the automobile, the internet, and where we are right now is that dramatic of a shift. And we want to help people get in front of that wave.
Done. Boom. Hang up for 1 second. I could personally guarantee your best is yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets today. That was awesome. Very deep stuff.
It was good. Honestly, it's one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done.